The first waves from the tsunami, you can see them now just hitting Hawaii at this hour. These are live pictures you're looking at from Diamond Head, Hawaii. Obviously, it is a little dark. It is 3:15 a.m. local time, but again, we are just beginning to see the waves of the tsunami triggered by the 8.9 magnitude quake in Japan begin to reach U.S. shores as they are reaching the shores of Hawaii. Robert Nisbet is a Sky News reporter who is joining us on Skype this morning from Honolulu. We spoke with the mayor of Honolulu a little bit earlier, Robert. He told us alerts started for residents around 10 p.m. Was that early enough to get everybody out of harm's way?
Well, they were certainly pretty alarming, I can tell you that. I, like many of the 100,000 tourists who are on the islands here, was completely confused by the noise and what was going on. You know, I'm not used to tsunami warnings. I know people in Hawaii probably learn about them at school, but there are a lot of tourists here. I'm in Waikiki. I'm in my hotel room. I'm on the 8th floor, and I'm part of what they call a vertical evacuation, making sure that tourists who are above the 3rd floor stay in their rooms and they don't wander around and try and get photographs of the waves. I think that has been the biggest concern here. But in terms of hearing the audible warnings, they were pretty loud. They've been pretty consistent. And there were extraordinary scenes in the shops just below me here of people rushing in, buying water, dried food, alcohol, anything they could get. So obviously people were concerned and they were taking it seriously.
You mentioned that you're in a hotel and there's been a lot of focus on the tourists because it is, the mayor told us, anywhere between, I think, 85,000 and 120,000 tourists at any given time. How has the hotel responded? Are they bringing extra provisions to you?
Well, certainly they've been keeping us in touch with developments, but you sense that they are trying to feel their way through this as well. They're getting information, I presume, from the mayor's office. They're trying to communicate it to us. I mean, it wasn't that they called us. We called down to them, first of all, and they said, look, just stay where you are. You're not in the immersion zone. You're in a safe area, but just stay above a certain height. And there are a number of people. I can look outside the balcony of my room here, and I can see there are a number of people with their telephoto lenses trained on the ground waiting for the wave to hit, but people seem to be pretty sensible. I don't see many people out on the streets.
So just those few people, everybody else seems to be heeding the warnings. I know you said above the 3rd floor they want you to stay in your rooms, or is it just that you have to stay sort of on that floor? Have people been milling around in the hallways? Are you getting a sense of how people are feeling about this?
They certainly were earlier on, and there were a number of people out on the beach as well, you know, and I don't think everybody was taking it entirely seriously, but I think after a succession of warnings, and maybe, you know, people were crowding around television screens, you know, and I think that's when they got a sense of just the scale of what was going on in Japan, that this wasn't a joke. You know, there was a tsunami warning they heard last year in Hawaii after the Chilean earthquake in February, and that didn't really amount to much, and maybe that some people were thinking, well, you know, by the time it reaches us, it may have petered out. But I think there is a genuine concern here among many tourists that this is obviously a big event. They don't want to take any risks. Looking at my balcony, I'm not seeing many people moving around.
Right, and we're actually looking at some live pictures now. It's a little dark, but we can make out those the white parts of the waves as they're starting to come ashore from the tsunami. Hawaii is also a huge tourist destination for the Japanese. Did you happen to see, when you were out and about a little bit late tonight, any Japanese tourists that you could make out? And if so, were you able to speak with any of them?
You can't move without bumping into Japanese tourists here. They are everywhere, as are Japanese restaurants. I mean, it's obviously a very strong influence here. I didn't speak to any of them, but you could just imagine what it's been like for them because, you know, just a few minutes after the news started spreading around here, the mobile phone service basically went. So trying to get in touch with home, of course, must have been very difficult for many of them. Wi-Fi seems to be relatively solid in my hotel, at least, so I imagine many of them are trying to contact home that way, but trying to get lines out is very difficult to do.
Have you been given any indication from either local authorities or from the hotel at what point you'll be allowed to move around freely and safely again?
What they have made very clear is that this is not a single event. This could be one wave followed by another wave. We could be talking about hours. So they're saying, you know, just listen and wait for further instructions. Don't expect this is just one wave and then think, okay, I can get out there. But this, you know, the potential for more devastating waves afterwards is still there, and we have to wait for advice.
Robert, we appreciate you giving us this glimpse of what's happening in Honolulu right now. Robert Nisbet from Sky News joining us.